It's Wednesday night, ladies and gentlemen. You know what that means. It's MVP Sports Talk Radio.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, here in Attleboro, Mass. at WARA Studios. I'm your host on the boards tonight, Ryan Dollinger. I got Nick Lavoie right down there for me. Look at him hanging out. Look, in his normal 76ers jacket attire. Yeah,
It's
buddy.
so comfortable, man.
Yeah?
So comfortable.
Those type of nice little thin, dry fit
Like,
jackets,
it's,
dude.
It's good for a nice breeze.
Oh yeah.
But it's
Especially with
just
the
so
weather
comfortable.
now.
Yeah, and I can roll the sleeves up easily. It's dry fit, soft. Yeah, I love it.
For sure.
I got to get a Celtics one. I will say that. But, shout out to Fanatics for this one. They got this one right. Some of the stuff I don't like, but this is so comfortable, man. Go
Fanatics is hit or miss, man.
It is.
I like their selection, but
And the
all of their
sizing's
material
flat,
and
too.
the sizes is just really hit
Yeah.
or miss. I got a Tennessee jersey from them,
Yep.
and I paid $100 for it, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of it.
This fits great, and then I got the same size in Alabama gear. And
Oh, okay.
one of the things fits snug. One of them's too big. One of them it's weird. The sizing's all over the place. It's the one thing I don't like.
I need to do something.
You need to rant, mourn.
No, I need to admit I was wrong.
Oh snap!
Last week, we were talking pretty heavily about Ryan Tannehill.
Woo!
And I hope Tim is watching. Which camera's on me right now? Tim, I need to admit that I was wrong. Are you gonna tape this?
No.
Okay.
I was just seeing if
I need to admit I was wrong. Ryan Tannehill is absolutely, without question, 100% not a top 10 quarterback.
I knew you were gonna.
He's
do
not. Nope. And last week proved that to
This. I
me.
knew you were gonna do this.
We could dive into it. I know there's stuff I want to touch on real quick. I want to dive into the World Series real quick. We'll hit this break real quick. It's only 2 minutes long. But after last week and what we saw Tannenbaum do against the Steelers, granted, his stat line looks good, okay? But we'll dive into it. All right, but the intentional grounding penalty on that final drive kind of did it in for me. It forced them to kick a field goal that was a little tougher for Gostkowski. It's not a gimme, but if you want to blame the kicker, whatever, lost by a field goal, yada, yada, yada. Steelers kind of let him back into the game, whatever. Kyler Murray leapfrogs him, especially after what he did on that Sunday night game.
Kyler Murray
Prime
looked good.
time. Granted, it's a Seattle defense. I get it, but that's prime time game. That's a damn good team.
The problem with Kyler Murray too, I get that he runs and he does have that aggressive factor, but I'd really like to see him on a team with minimal threats, like a Cam Newton scenario.
Mm-hmm.
See how he does. That'll prove to me he's
Yeah.
top tier. But it's hard, dude, because you got Hopkins who will get anything you need him to get. He's Hopkins is transformed tenfold. He's such a phenomenal sideline player.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Larry Fitz, who arguably are great, right?
Right.
And then even just their, I guess, less performing guys are studs.
Their role guys are stepping up
even
big.
all they're the rookie, everybody is a stud on that team.
You can't control what weapons you do and don't have to a degree.
Yeah.
Kyler's going to take full advantage of having one of the best receivers in the league, if not the best, arguably.
Yep.
Right? He's going to take advantage of that. There's no doubt about it. But there are other role guys, especially Larry Fitz, was big in that game on those deke and dunk passes on those 8-yard short ends. He's sitting in the middle of the Seattle zone and he's making those plays. And just the way that Kyler was kind of able to take that moment and just lead. He led that team twice in overtime to win the game. That's, I don't know, seeing it from an unbiased perspective, obviously, all right? That showed me that he's the real deal and he can. His ceiling keeps getting higher and higher.
I think what's a good telltale is he's going up against Russell Wilson, who's arguably going to have an MVP year. If he doesn't get MVP, he's going to be the runner-up. And so, you look at it, and he's neck and neck with Wilson the whole game. The score shows it.
Yep.
The game as a whole showed it. Stat-wise showed it. He looked really good. For the year he's in, with the way he's going, if they only keep building that team, then they'll be a competitor. I can see that team winning the Super Bowl in the next 3 years, 4 years.
I can see it too.
They just have all the calibers. They're pretty good contract wise from what I saw. They got some decent draft picks coming up this year. They'll probably get just after mid round the way they're going, and I think they're going to do well.
With that, we'll hit the break real quick, and then right when we come back, it's only about 2 minutes.
Yeah, we'll talk.
We got to top the World Series.
Yeah,
we got to.
Got World Series coming up. Trade deadlines.
The state of
Patriots.
The underwhelming, underperforming Patriots.
Yeah,
we'll get it all into it, folks. Give us a call. Join in on the conversation. 508-222-1320. We'll be right back. That tune will never get old.
Never does.
I don't think it gets old.
Never does.
Ever. I really don't.
I don't know if our viewers think that, but it doesn't get old to me.
Nope. So, all right. Dive right into it, right?
I don't even know if I want to talk about the World Series. I got so many different fronts.
So did you guys bet the over or the under on that?
The over in Tampa. We
over?
Smoked on that.
Yeah. The way that the Rays weren't able to score runs all series, I would have gone the under. What was the over-under anyway? Like 6?
8.
It was 8?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I really thought go under, but then I thought Game 6, you're in that part of the rotation where, they've seen.
Well, we knew that going in, the Dodgers were going to have a bullpen game. We knew going in.
Yeah.
But we knew going in Snell was there.
So the factor so I really was going to take the under, but then, when Drew had said over, I was like, he's probably onto something because Game 6, these pitches are guys they've seen a lot, you know what I mean? So it's not like Game 1 or 2 where you're just really getting in tune with this guy during the World Series. You've already seen him. So I figured, they could tune up some of these pitchers. We'll see what happens. Didn't work out that way.
Yeah. No, it did not. The Rays struggled all series to score runs. I mean, that rookie guy, though, what was his name?
Yeah, oh my God.
Had 10 home runs.
Yeah.
Like,
Better than A, God.
poor guy. He carried the offense in this series easily. Honestly, I was thinking he might be the MVP of the World Series, even on a losing team. If you really think about it, he was
see it.
stellar.
I can see that.
But more importantly, there were two specific things that happened. Well, the first one was that I think is being overshadowed is Justin Turner.
So that to me is insane.
Right? So no, throw out your feelings about how you feel about the overall pandemic and how COVID, whatever. It's like, but you find out in the second inning that Justin Turner tests positive, right? He has a positive test. They immediately isolate him, right? That's according to Rob
They didn't
Manfred.
pull him until the 8th.
They didn't pull him until the 8th?
The 8th inning. I'm pretty sure it was the 8th inning.
I think the 8th inning is when they found out that it wasn't a false positive. Because they got confirmation of his test from on
I thought I saw him
Monday.
I thought I saw him bat in the 5th.
Did you?
Let me look now. So the issue, I guess, kind of diving into that. The issue I have.
Oh
with
yeah,
it,
he went 0 for 3, which means he had
they
3
took
at
him in
bats.
the 8th.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, too, right? Tell me this isn't crazy. They didn't just take him in the 8th. He came back out and celebrated on field.
Yeah, he did.
He's,
No mask on.
He's got
No mask on. He's taking pictures. He's
guys,
sitting
face
next
to
to
face.
Dave Roberts, who's a lymphoma survivor, who's a cancer survivor, and he's a positive. Like, if this disease is as contagious as we think it is, that most of that team has to isolate themselves in Dallas for at least 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And God knows how many people could have caught that.
Yeah.
Because of
Families
ignorance,
came down.
because of legitimate ignorance.
Yep.
That I was stunned.
So to me, the issue out of the gate, right, is he's not supposed to play without a test result. So they violated league protocol, putting him on the field to begin with, right? Because he's playing without a test result, which is a no-no. It violates league protocol. So they're already breaking the rules there. Then they continue to let him play. They found out it was a positive. Didn't pull him till the 8th, which is another no-no. Then he came back out and got mixed with everybody. A very big no-no. How the league has to hold him accountable.
Oh, absolutely.
If the league feels that they can't because it's the World Series winner, then that's just garbage. And
I know the MLB issued a statement earlier today about the situation. I want to pull it up at some point, maybe on the next break. But this is so.
When I
That's
I
why.
was
So
shocked.
John says, spoiler alert: it's not that deadly. Like I said before, John. Regardless of how you feel about the disease itself, we know percentage-wise, we know it's not deadly.
Yeah, so
but the cases in the United States is extremely high.
So here's the thing.
It's the people with the underlying conditions and the ignorance of Evan Turner,
People-
knowing that he has a
Yeah.
positive test, knowing the situation of 2020, knowing how the MLB was able to handle it early on with the Marlins outbreak. Like, this is not a disease to be messing around with, okay? It may not be deadly, okay? But it has, once people have gotten the virus and have kicked it, you see many, many cases of people with decreased
long-lasting effects,
decreased lung function, heart problems. It's factual evidence.
Yeah, I know someone that had
And
it.
especially when he's hanging around Dave Roberts, laying next to Dave Roberts in the picture, who has had cancer. His immune system is compromised. Who knows what could happen, right?
That's
Who
the
knows?
issue I have with it.
Less than 1%. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's ignorant. It's absolutely like, I get you want to celebrate with your team.
Yeah.
But you have to put the health of yourself and your teammates and your family above that. You have to.
Yeah. And look, I'm not big on the whole COVID thing. I do take parts of it serious, but here's the thing, right? You can say it's deadly or not. The groups where it's most deadly is everything within Dave Roberts.
All of
So,
those people with underlying
Here's
conditions.
the thing.
Yep.
If Dave Roberts gets COVID and dies, what do we do how does that look as a league? That
That would be
know-
catastrophic.
That you knowingly let this dude get into close contact. Granted, they can say, well, Dave Roberts knew it was a positive and that's on him. Okay, whatever. But the league still technically allowed it. There was no enforceable protocol. The league knew first that he was positive. Then they knew he was going back out there. At no point did they send security to get him off the field. There was no accountability.
Security knew about it. The league knew about it. The team knew about it. Everybody knew about it.
That's the issue I have. Whether COVID...
They knew about it mid-game. Didn't they know about it mid-game?
Yeah.
Like,
that's the rumors, yeah, to my knowledge. And, like, again, it's not about, like, if COVID's deadly or not. Because at the end of the day, if next week you find out Dave Roberts has it, it is going to affect every other sport.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If you are the governor of California, if you are, whoever who has any kind of pull anywhere, you're going to crack down when the major league entities can't fulfill it. They have multi-million-dollar professionals who are behind the scenes trying to establish a way they can do this effectively. And if you fail at the highest tier, then it just looks terrible everywhere else. It's only going to domino effect down, right? So if the highest tiered professionals can't figure it out, then you're in trouble.
Extreme trouble.
Same thing with like a vaccine now where, they're struggling to figure out a vaccine because it mutates and this and that, where now you see they're panicking because they worry about, maybe we're not going to have a vaccine or how quick we're going to get it to everywhere. It's the same thing, right? So it comes down to just, accountability at the highest tier. If they can't get it right there, it's just bad on everyone else. And, the problem is they were one of the two leagues that didn't do a bubble. They had their issues in the beginning. They technically righted their ship. They did
definitely
real well.
righted the ship. After that Marlins outbreak, they did a phenomenal job.
You righted the ship.
Yep.
You could have ended on a great note and said, you know what, look how good we did.
The Marlins outbreak, Cardinals too.
That washes the entire thing. Right, so you really righted the ship. If that didn't happen...
This situation overshadows the World Series.
Yeah. And if
in a way, in a sense.
If that doesn't happen... Yeah, because there are people that were calling that can't forfeit the game. There's people already saying that they should have had to forfeit the game and this and that. But and that's a good thing too. Is like when they pulled them in the 8th inning, they should have called that game.
Should have called it.
Yeah,
all right. So if Kevin Cash doesn't make that absolute horrid mistake of taking Blake Snell out of the game, Rays win that game, right? And they go to Game 7 tonight. Yeah. They're not playing tonight. They're probably not playing for a week.
Yeah.
If you really look at it.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way they play tonight.
Yep.
Or probably this week.
I really think, not even about, like, realistically, because the Rays violated it, they should have had to forfeit that game in the 8th inning. Up, leading or not, should have had to forfeit that game. Because you put that umpire at risk, you put that catcher at risk, you put the base coaches at risk, everyone that he's close with. And again, like, it doesn't matter what you think about COVID. At the end of the day, you think about everyone he's been in contact with, an entire team, opposing team, right? Because if that catcher gets it, now they got to worry about him getting his team sick. You're talking about the umpire who they select their core, right? Those guys are picked because they're the best. So now you're talking about losing an umpire. It's just catastrophic to where it shouldn't have happened, and you've jeopardized everything knowingly. It's no different than, it's worse because it's a deadly disease. And again, however you want to scale it, how deadly it is up to you. If you want to say it's not that deadly, fine. But whatever. Call it the flu. Whatever the case may be, you knowingly violated a rule because he wasn't cleared, but you still put him out there. Granted, he went 0-3. I get it. But they put him out there, not expect him to go 0-3. They put him out there because he was a key component to the team. They didn't put him out there because
he's your 3-hole hitter. He's one of your better guys. Like, I get that, but
yeah, there was a reason where they said, "Oh, well, we don't have his test back yet. Just send him out. Just send him out."
Yeah,
and that's an issue. No matter how you want to look at it.
I'm really curious to see what the league does about it.
Yeah,
I really am. Whether it's, I don't know what the punishment's going to be like. I sure hope it's a whole lot more severe than what the NFL
really
did with
severe.
the Titans.
It needs to be really severe.
It needs to be something.
Because
you need to Turner needs to be fined or possibly suspended.
The team needs to be fined.
Team needs to be fined. I don't know if you take away draft picks or
and people can argue
like
that's garbage. But so the problem is, right, is even if you take him in the 8th inning, you're like, you know what, you violated a rule, but we get it. You dropped the ball. That's fine, right? Wash your hands. Hey, guys, sorry we dropped the ball. End of the year, last game to us, like, we kind of just let it go. You know what I mean? We've done well so far. It was kind of a little slip up. It was a hiccup. But you send them back on the field. You can't do that. And I get it's the World Series
whether it's
win.
a false positive or not, as soon as you find out in that second inning that he was positive, you immediately isolate him. That's it.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yep.
That's the protocol. That's
what you agreed to play
That's
under.
the operating procedure you put in place.
And I, you know what, too, is like where I get that it's going to suck that you can't celebrate the World Series win. I get it. It sucks. But guess what? The guys that opt out aren't going to celebrate if their team wins. Like Pat Chung wouldn't show up to a Pat Super Bowl, and or kids that are missing out on school because of this, and all the things that people miss out on right now, or you don't get to see your loved one when they die because of the isolation protocol. Like that is what we're agreeing to as a society to keep operating.
Right.
To not have to hide in our homes for a year until there's a vaccine.
Yep.
We are agreeing to these, set guidelines or whatever, that there are things that we have to go with.
Yep.
You can't have a funeral for your loved. You can't be there in the hospital. You have to understand that, and you have to understand that you're gonna probably miss your prom this year. You have to understand that this is gonna happen and this is gonna happen. Like, when you're playing that game and you test positive, you have to understand that you're gonna miss time or a ceremony or whatever the case may be, and maybe that's on him. Maybe he didn't wear a mask out, or he did something to where he got infected, and maybe it's a false positive, but you agree to it.
Yep.
And I know it sucks, but if you kill Dave Roberts,
It's the nature of the world we're living in
you
right
kill
now.
Dave Roberts just so you can go out on the field. Like, come on
Yep.
now. And it's selfish, and I would imagine that they're going to have to be serious, because
absolutely.
I don't see the state of California or anyone else for that matter really letting it go if they're not serious about it. Even if the commissioner doesn't want to be serious, they have to be. There's too many, foreign powers involved to where you're talking about state level, federal level, all these things to where, you're on national TV violating protocol.
Yep.
It's not a good look.
We've already talked about this for 20 minutes. It's overshadowing the entire World Series.
Yep.
It's a shame, really. And
Yeah.
honestly, all my respect for Evan Turner went out the window. But with that, we're going to hit the break because we're a little bit over right now. So give us a call. We got 2 open lines, folks. Tell us what you think about the situation, whether you think it's an overreaction, underreaction, if
And we
it's
don't
not that
want
big of a
to.
deal.
We don't want
whatever.
to hear that about like COVID ain't whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Let that be.
508-222-1320. We'll be right back. And we're back, folks.
Oh, yeah.
MVP Sports Talk Radio. We got 2 open lines, guys. 508-222-1320. We're getting right into it with World Series talk. We'll probably talk this till the top of the hour, and then we'll dive right back into the NFL, Patriots, all that good stuff.
Yeah,
so,
what a great show so far.
Since Turner kind of overshadowed things, let's talk about the
God.
analytics of baseball, folks, and how it can help you win games, right? Wrong! Kevin Cash proved that last night.
I will quote a guy I coached football with, good dude, went to the football conference with him. He said it perfect. Nerds have ruined baseball. Simple as that.
When you have, I don't want to say a dying game, but a consistently ratings take dips, significant dips year in and year out with this game, and you incorporate a more, statistical, analytical approach, and you take out the gut and the determination and the grind and the sheer will of the game out of the equation for a freaking computer. Kevin Cash, fire him and just have a computer sit there and just have some random dude, random ex-player, bat boy. The bat boy could freaking do it.
Pay us to do it.
Pay us to do it.
What's the league minimum for a coach?
Exactly. Like if you're gonna go out, there was absolutely 100% no justification for why Kevin Cash took out Blake Snell in that game. There's none. There's absolutely none. Because a computer told you that based on analytics and percentages, you should take him out right now. That's pretty much you're saying to starting pitchers every time they face a lineup for the third time, just take him out. So what, starters? You're paying starting pitchers 30, 35, 40 million a year right now, right?
Yep.
Kershaw's making 33 million a year right now. You're going to pay Kershaw $33 million a year to throw 5 innings a game?
Yeah.
5-6 innings a game? No. It's ruining. You're right. It's ruining. It's hurting baseball more than it's helping it.
And you know what
absolutely is.
You know what the problem with it too is like, yeah, you know what? Those systems are great, I guess, because not to get political, but like you see the polls are wrong on elections and or whatever it may be. Numbers are wrong often. That's why they're numbers, right? If we could predict the future, then we'd all be rich. But you can't. The problem with it is analytics and numbers don't account for teams like the Rays. They don't account for a team that has, the smallest payroll.
A $12.5 million payroll in their starting lineup.
The smallest
$12.5 million.
And yet they're in the World Series. Analytics don't account for that, right? Analytics probably put them at like 0.0005% chance of winning the World Series or even going to the World Series this year. I don't know what the numbers were, but I know they weren't great. Analytics counted them out from the start. So for teams like that, analytics don't work. Teams like the Red Sox with like some of the rugged teams they've had, they don't work, right? The Terry Francona years where, you had the fried chicken in the clubhouse, the best team in baseball, and they tank. Analytics would have never predicted that, right? So, analytics work for a team like the Dodgers where they have a very deep bullpen. They have a great team. They pay big money to get who they have, right? It's a well-rounded machine. They're just a phenomenal team.
When you don't have Kershaw or Walker Buehler pitching, right, and you have like your third, fourth, fifth starters go out there, like I get that.
Yeah, like analytics make sense for that.
It's slowing down the game significantly. It's making it unenjoyable, not good to watch.
I really, really don't watch baseball anymore.
I shut the game off when they took out Snell.
I used to watch it all the time.
I did too.
Watch it, and
I played it. I played it up to I played college ball.
I don't even know if I watched last year's playoffs. So maybe that, but like
I did, because that was the Nationals. So my dad.
But like recently, I've just been judging the game so much more. Where way slower. Like I can't stand it every time the ball hits the dirt. The new ball.
Yep.
It's weird to me, but just so much time. There's just a lot of it where I'm just like, it's so weird. It's like a whole different game I was watching, and not in a good way. So what you're trying to do in the MLB, as a Major League Baseball is guys like me who used to watch it devotedly, stopped watching it. You need to win me back, right? Same thing with anything, right? A company, a store, a politician, whoever, right? You need to win back your lost party, people, viewer, customer, whatever the case may be. So for a guy like me to watch it and think it's worse, it's not good. Like, you need to be better than that. If you want your league to survive, you need to be better than that.
I tried to think of last night when I saw Snell getting taken out of the game, and I went back and I kind of went in and I looked at it I tried to be as unbiased as possible. I was like, look, I'm trying to be on Kevin Cash's side here. What reasoning do you have for taking Snell out, right? And I pull up the stat sheet and everything, and at that point in time,
well, you have the top. The three batters he was facing were both all 0-2 against him, all in strikeouts.
2 strikeouts apiece.
Yeah.
Yep. So I was looking into it, and I looked at the play-by-play breakdown and how Snell was pitching. Was he giving up a hit every inning? Was he in trouble every inning? Were runners getting in scoring position? He gave up 2 hits.
Yeah.
Only one of the hits left the infield, right? Snell was literally dominating.
0 walks.
Was no walks. He was dominating. 2 times through the lineup, and he was dominating.
He focused in. He had that, like, mentality of, I can pitch the entire game.
That's where the analytics go out the door, and you become a manager. Kevin Cash needs to become a manager.
Evaldi look. He just had that, like, tuned in, I want to pitch the whole game.
You become a manager at that point. Sure, go out, walk out there, talk to him, and see how he's feeling, and you give him the ball. Now, granted, the analytics probably could have helped Grady Little in 2003, and
there's definitely times for analytics.
I get that, but in this situation,
you have to have a gut as a coach.
He's getting ready to face the lineup for the 3rd time. He's facing. Let me pull up the lineup again. So he's facing Mookie, Corey Seager, Justin Turner. Justin Turner shouldn't have been playing at that point, but whatever. At that point in time, Betts, Seager, and Turner were 0 for 6 with 6 strikeouts. He struck out all 3 of those guys in both plate appearances. And there was a runner on first with 1 out. Mookie could have easily grounded into a double play, inning over. That's it. It's not like Snell was at like 98 pitches or 95, 100 pitches. It's not like he was struggling all game long. He was dominating. And after looking at it, there's no justification as to why Kevin Cash took him out.
Yeah.
Do you think that's on Cash, or do you think that's on the Rays front office and upper management saying, hey, we're going with analytics. We're an analytics team. When the computer says take him out, take him out? Or do you think Cash was...
A little bit of both. Because I think if he keeps him in, strikes out the side, then I think everyone says, you know what? You're right. Screw the analytics. You were right. Sorry. Then it's like, greatest coaching move ever, right? Oh, analytics told him take him out. He kept him in, and the side got retired, and they all struck out, and we went on to win 1-0. He pitched the entire game, or whatever the case may be. It's a great move, coach, right? But
I have yet to see any baseball guy, analyst, Ortiz, Rodriguez on that Fox broadcast. I have yet to see anyone justify Kevin Cash's actions.
Yeah. And so
I've yet to see anybody.
The problem for me is where are your stones? Where's your grit? Like, at some point you got to look at that and be like, you got to go up to, like, if I'm that coach, right, and the analytics says pull him, I do a mound visit and I say, look, right, the analytics want me to pull you, but F that. Your lights out. I know your lights out. Strike these 3 out again.
Snell was visibly
tuned in, man. He was
you could
pissed.
see, baseball. You want to incorporate so many analytics and statistics and percentages into the game of baseball. When the game of baseball, especially for a pitcher, is mostly mental. It's pitching is 90% mental. It really is. It's a mindset, right? If you're not mentally right as a pitcher, you're not going to do well.
Bronson Arroyo or something, where you have an injury and they're just mentally gone. Right, can't get back into the game. You're just shambles.
You saw that with Daniel Bard for so many years, and then this year he comes back with Colorado. He wins Comeback Player of the Year. He had a solid year as a reliever this year, but even for so many years leading up to that,
Joe Kelly
mentally
lights out and then just sucks. It's just if you tuned in, you tuned in. Like, you got to be able to tell as a coach when like someone's on their game.
I was
like,
a pitcher in college, and I pitched my entire life, and I got a scholarship to had that opportunity to play D2 ball. And as a pitcher, it's mostly a mental game. Yep. When you get to that level, especially professional, college, even high school, when you're at that level, your mechanics and your physical gifts are there already. You're kind of developed. Sure, you can tweak things here and there with pitches. Like, okay, you're getting to the side of your curveball, you got to get over top of it.
You got the car. How do you drive it?
Right. How about we stand on this side of the rubber so you can hit the outside corner a little bit better? Like minor tweaks and stuff like that. You don't mess with mechanics, but when it comes to pitching, especially in professionals and at that level, it's such a mental game. And when it comes to pitching, when you get deep into the game, I get that lefty-lefty matchup, righty matchup. Okay, Evan Turner's been hitting really, really bad against this guy, so we're gonna prepare him for that. Yeah, I get that. But when it comes to this, you're in the 6th inning, man. The guy's only thrown 73 pitches.
Yeah, 72 pitches.
He's rolling. He's rolling.
9 strikeouts.
As soon as you could see it, as soon as he got taken out of the game, that entire Rays team just fell flat.
Yep.
They were deflated, and as soon as that happened, I was like, "Oh, it's over. Dodgers are going to win this game. It's over.
I was ticked.
It's over."
You see me in the chat. I was pissed.
The entire team was deflated after that.
Pissed. I knew it too. When they took him out, I was like, "That's it." And then they come out and it just, you know what I mean, instantly start hitting. And you're like, yeah, this is not good. It was just, the devil was in the details, right? So you could tell that wasn't going to go good. You could see, like, that lit the Dodgers bench up. And then, like the announcer said, too, like, when you take out a guy who's pitching, like, lights out, and they put in a new pitcher.
You could see Mookie.
Yeah.
You could see Mookie.
They're
As
like,
soon as
"Thank
Snell
you.
got taken out, you saw Mookie, like, do a big sigh of relief. You saw him in the on-deck circle just go,
Yep.
like,
yep. Because arguably, right?
And what followed? They took the lead that inning, right? Did they take the lead that inning?
Yeah,
they tied it.
It went up 2-1.
Yeah, they went up 2-1 that inning,
and then 3-1 the next.
Yeah, good riddance.
So like mentally too. Think about how good that would have been, right? If you win 1-0, and your big guys go 0-3, 0-4.
Yep.
Right? How does that affect Mookie Betts going into Game 7?
Exactly.
Not to mention, maybe it's a week out. So for a week, he's thinking about, I just went 0-4.
The only reason I could really come up with as to why Cash took him out is to keep him somewhat fresh for Game 7. Maybe.
It's tough, though, because
you're
in that make or break.
But even in that situation,
you got a 1-run lead.
You've got a you're not up 8-0.
Yeah, you put in a new guy, and he hits a decent dinger. It's either a tie game or if he hits it far enough, just one at bat is the lead. Like, if you're up like 3 or 4, even that's not that comfortable. But like 3 or 4, where like, okay, worst case, the next dude hits it out the park and we change someone else, right? But it's a 1-run game with a guy on the base. Go with the guy who's been reliable, who left one stranded before, who hasn't walked, so he's not gonna walk you into a loaded scenario and just shamble. You look tuned in mentally, and he's facing 3 guys where he had struck them all out twice each. There's no better comfortability as a pitcher, I think, than going up against 3 guys you struck out twice apiece. To me, that's like, in his mind, okay, he got on, but I got 3 outs coming up. I know it.
And it's not like I just don't. There's no reason. There's no reason to justify what he did.
And I think 0-2, 2 strikeouts against Mookie Betts is a feat on its own, to where you should have been like,
Mookie struck out a lot in this series too. But granted, he showed up in times.
He showed up when he needed,
and especially clutch wise. Like,
it's just tough though, because I remember many times, and I never were. I mean, I was decent at baseball just because I was a bigger kid. I could really crank them. But I remember times where it's like, you can't hit a kid, and they take him out, and you're like, oh, new pitcher, yeah, let's go. And like team being down like 5-1 or like 6-1, 6-0, and rallying because that kid's out of the way now. And it's not even like you need your guy to hit a home run to get back in the game. It's a matter of just that pitcher leaving puts your whole club in that moment, in that like rally mentality, right? You're all like, that's that reinvigoration you need. And it just sucks, man. That's tough. I was so pissed. That's going to go down as one of the worst coaching calls in MLB history.
If not, I would say it's the worst.
Yeah.
I would. I don't see,
If it's
especially in the
not
playoff,
World Series,
in playoff history,
but-
like that was again. We're not talking about this if it's the regular season.
Yeah, this is the World
We're really
Series.
not. I mean, but honestly, you leave it in the regular season, he's probably still in the game.
Yeah.
He's probably still in the game at that point, obviously. But in this case, like it's do or die.
Yeah.
You're down 3-2. You need to force a Game 7. I don't know. It's just, especially if. So wrap your head around this. If everyone knew that Evan Turner tested positive, the Rays probably knew that too, right? You think the Rays would have known in the game? No.
I don't think so.
Well,
I mean, they might have told him like, "Hey, we pulled him."
Word has to get around.
They definitely had to tell him like, "Hey, we pulled him because he's positive." But I don't think they knew like
pulled him because he's positive, or like because if the Dodgers find out in inning 2, whoever they find out from the league, the league has to notify the Rays too, right?
Some sort of
there has to be some sort of communication given to the Rays that
but
hey,
then on
we got a positive test from Evan Turner.
On the same token, maybe you keep it low key because now if I'm a manager, I'm like,
well,
hold on.
right. So you keep it low key. Just
but do you
based
tell
on
Tampa? Because if you're Tampa, aren't you going to be like, hold on, well, I don't want to play right now. Like that's a good out, right? Like this guy has just been around all of us.
Yeah, and then
to stop playing.
There would be a justification for Kevin
Yeah.
Cash to argue with the umpire and be like,
we need
this
to
isn't
stop
right.
playing.
But
He's been all over the place. We got to stop playing.
Granted, this is a professional sport.
He's been coughing in the clubhouse.
This is a professional sport. I mean, and just like any professional sport, there's a lot of money involved.
Yeah, no,
Do you
and
think,
so
like they might
do
have tried to keep it under wraps?
yeah, I
So,
think pull him because no one knew why he got pulled. They didn't know until after the game.
So, assuming that Kevin Cash knew he tested positive, the only even if they did know that, he's probably thinking in the back of his mind, okay, we win this Game 6. There's no way we're playing Game 7 tomorrow, or even the next day, or the next day after that. He's probably overthinking. As a manager, if I knew that Turner was positive, and if we can win this game and go to Game 7 the next day, we're not playing Game 7 on Wednesday night if Turner's positive. We're not.
Yeah.
So that gives us Wednesday off, probably Thursday. We'd have to quarantine, get all the tests going. Earliest we play Game 7 is probably Saturday.
So
that gives Blake Snell 3 days rest.
Yes,
to pitch
I get
in Game
exactly
7.
where you're going. We're on the same page.
So
if he had known, he doesn't take him out.
Exactly. Well, I don't know.
If he
even if he didn't know, I still think he takes him out. But
he definitely didn't know.
With his thinking
no,
there,
because I feel like so my thinking is, all right, well, I can pitch him 8-9 innings now if he's up for it.
Right.
Because we're going to have a week or two off.
Right.
So, which is a big break for one game.
You're right.
Which is probably like the most anticipation as a league. You almost want that. But I'll pitch him as long as he wants to go.
That would have set up good too. I think it would have been. That would have been. God.
Yeah.
If
there's no way he knew.
Keep Snell in the game. He's still pitching a gem. Sure, he goes 7 or 8 innings. Maybe the Rays get some momentum going because Snell's pitching so well. Maybe they get a run or two. The game of baseball is so heavy on momentum and swings. Like the Rays could have gained some momentum with Snell pitching so well. You force a Game 7. Turner's positive for COVID. You don't have to play Game 7 for 5 days, maybe a week. You set up a Game 7 of Snell versus Kershaw, like mano-a-mano, best guy against best guy. Like everyone's nice and healthy and rested. Like that would have made for a really great Game 7. But, I mean, they blew it.
And that's the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, there's no way he knew.
I mean, we're diving pretty deep. I'm diving pretty deep into the deep end in terms
because
of
they pitched to him.
Thinking about it.
They pitched to him after the substitution. So there's no way they knew because they would have been like, we'll get him the F off the field. So, I mean, part of me feels like that, that's why some of the forfeit talk is justified because he can argue like, yeah, all right, well, if I knew we were going to have a week off, I don't pull him. I let him go till he tells me he's done. And that's that kind of scenario where, you let that pitcher right the ship, right? You as a coach, you put your trust in his hand, and kind of like they did with like Evaldi, and like as far as you want to go, we're gonna let you go tonight. take it. When you know you
It's
can't,
much easier.
you tell me.
It's much easier to justify why you kept him in than why you took him out. It's much easier to justify.
Especially when your only argument is, the analytics.
Like if Cash kept him in the game and Snell ended up getting rocked, maybe they figured him out. We're not talking about Kevin Cash and why he didn't take out Snell. Snell was dominating up to that point. We don't question that, and it doesn't. And we don't think two things about it. But the fact that you took him out when he was absolutely dominating is just. There's just no excuse, man. There's not.
And it's funny too because you can make like a metaphor for anything where it's like, analytics. All right, so like, if analytics told me I have a 50% chance of getting hit by a car when I cross the street, right? But the counterpart is I'm in the middle of nowhere with wide open street, no cars around.
Yep.
I'm across the street.
That's a good metaphor. I like that.
Yeah, I'm across the street.
Yep.
Right, when everything points to where there's no issue.
It's not like Mookie.
Right?
It's not like Mookie was 2 for 2.
Yeah.
It's not like Turner was 1 for 2 with a bomb.
If I'm like, okay,
they were
you
0
know
for
what?
2 with 2 strikeouts, each
Yeah.
one of them.
If I'm looking out and I'm like, you know what? There's been a few cars that have gone by. It's kind of all getting near rush hour.
He had,
It's
struck
kinda
out.
dark.
He struck out
Maybe I don't
50%
cross.
of the batters he faced
Yep.
through 2 times through the lineup.
And he's not high in pitches. Didn't walk anybody, so you're not worried about like a getaway pitch to where the runner's going to advance. He's been putting them over the plate, yet no walks. It was just even most of the balls were like corner of the plate, like really could have been strikes anyway. So it baffles me. And I kind of like that metaphor I came up with, where it's
The Rays had, they had such a great chance. They had a golden opportunity.
And I mean, they in the minds of a lot of people, they still won because they just weren't meant to be there. But yeah, that's bad.
I mean, it took a pandemic, a bubble,
How does that
a
affect-
bubble, and a 60-game season for LA to win a championship. Okay, no matter what sport it is, I'm kind of putting a little asterisk next to the 2020 champions,
especially
here.
with intentionally keeping in.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's whatever. I hate where the game of baseball is going, and it's slowly just pushing me away.
Yeah,
It really is.
which is a lot for someone like you.
So the
too.
one thing is like Moneyball, phenomenal movie, and the system that Billy Beane and that Harvard guy were able to develop with on base percentage.
Yep.
That's a different aspect to the game. That was a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? And it gave these minor market teams the chance to compete for a championship and be relevant. With these analytics now, with the percentages, you're leaving the hands of the game with a computer.
Yep.
You are giving the computer ultimate power over your managerial decisions. Yeah. That's not what the game of baseball is.
Compare that to anything. Compare that to a business. If you owned a business, would you allow a computer to make all your decisions?
Right.
Or if it told you,
it's slowly going to get
80% chance you need to fire this guy is what the analytics say, so I'm just going to fire him. He's my best employee, and he hasn't done anything wrong yet. But this is telling me I should fire him now because he could.
But he's getting ready to go through a divorce.
He could potentially act up. So I need to fire him now. Is what the computer says. He's been great all along, but he could act up, so I should fire him now. That's literally how it is. So I think when you plug and play things into other scenarios, it just makes it look worse, right? Because you can argue, like, all right, we'll put the analytic factor into something else, right? The car crossing the street with, cars, and with, you're a manager and you need to fire somebody who's done nothing wrong, but the computer says he has a chance of doing something wrong, so you should just fire him now before he does. That doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't. And it's ruining the game of baseball.
Yep.
It really is. But you know what? We're going to flip the page now, folks.
Top of the hour.
We've hit the top of the hour. We're going to roll a couple breaks here. Be about maybe five minutes or so, but we are going to get right into the NFL at the top of the hour, so join us at 508-222-1320. Still got 2 open lines. Nick and Ryan here, and we'll be right back. And we back. Top of the hour, folks.
We back.
It's time.
Yeah, but I wanted a good backup quarterback for the week Mahomes is out. I don't want to rely on Bridgewater because Bridgewater's matchup that week was rough.
What week?
10.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a critical week too.
Yeah, that's late in the season. Yeah.
So
that's why I'm kind of happy Kyler Murray has his bye week this week.
Yeah.
Because I can kind of get by with Burrow, and I think Burrow will do okay against Tennessee. I mean, Roethlisberger threw for some yards against Tennessee.
Yeah.
So I'm not too concerned. So hopefully.
Since he's been good about keeping in the fight for a bit.
So.
That's why I picked up Wentz. I figure he's got a better week 10
Wentz
matchup.
is good. I'm starting him in my other league, too.
He's got a good week 10 matchup, so
because I have Cam Newton in my other league. And
yeah.
Speaking of Cam Newton.
I have him in my other league.
Speaking of Cam Newton, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's your take? Like, what's the problem? Why are the Patriots so bad?
I don't know.
What's going on here?
It's hard to cut into because, the average person says, well, you got no receivers and, you got this and that. You have the same team you had against Seattle. And you put up a good fight against Seattle. Great game. Newton looked great. A lot of yards going around. Edelman, best game yard-wise in his career. And just so many things where that was a fantastic game to where I literally was like, this is a good Super Bowl matchup, right? This is going to be a good rematch in the Super Bowl. And now it's like you got, 6 points here and, you struggling to score over here and, 12 points a week prior. Tough. And it's hard to, get down to it. But I think part of it, and I try not to make excuses, I think maybe there's some lingering effects with COVID on Newton to why he's not performing where he should be. But overall, man, it just seems like maybe they need to adjust the offense if, they're running like a Newton scheme, but we don't have the weapons to do it. I don't really know. It's hard to kind of cut, but the bottom line is they need to get a damn receiver in, right? Because you see what I
honestly don't think bringing in a receiver is going to do much, though.
You need to bring in a receiver and a tight end. You have to.
I'd rather have a tight end. I'd rather have a tight end.
It is so playable for any defense to cover New England right now. You have the slowest receiving core in the league. You have and I'm not speaking.
I would say
I'm
worst.
Not speaking.
I would say worst core. Damiere Byrd is quick. He ran a 4.3.
I'm not speaking by my personal belief. I'm speaking of the NFL numbers. The New England receiving core is the slowest in the league. Whatever the case may be, maybe they're just kind of dogging it out there. But not to say this, but
dogging it
analytically, they're the slowest in the league. So or it was tied for last I checked. So there's an issue there. Whether that's just how they're underperforming or that's their lack of capabilities to perform, I don't know. But there's just a lot going on. You got offensive line guys shifting around here and there. You got Andrews coming back in, then Tooney, shies out, and then he gets hurt, and then there's just so much happening, and it just kind of seems like a duct taped together season, and it kills me because that Seattle game I was so excited after losing, and I was so excited to where now I'm like, what is happening? But I think you need a tight end. I think you get a playable tight end. You give Asiasi a shot, and then you get a receiver. You have to. You can't tell me that they expected to lose a season, right? Because they wouldn't have paid Cam. And granted, it's incentive based, but you wouldn't have given Gilmore a ton of extra money just to put him on trade block. You wouldn't have done all the things you did if you didn't expect to have a winning season. Right, this isn't New England was fine losing. No, they weren't. They wouldn't have went out and got Cam Newton if they were going to be worried. They would have let Stidham tank.
It's the way I look at it. Right, we have, I get it. We don't have a ton of weapons on offense. Right, This is pretty much the same type of offensive, core group of guys that we had last year. Right. Yeah. Granted, we had Tom Brady, but Tom Brady didn't look like himself last year, but we were still able to make the playoffs.
But I think
we had a pretty weak schedule. I get that. Yeah. But we were able to make the playoffs with that offense, with that roster, right? With this roster, it's like I go to the offseason and I go to the beginning of the season and I look at it and I've seen the past 3 games that Cam Newton has played. And I get it. We don't have a lot of weapons. We definitely have the worst receiving core in the league. There's no doubt in my mind. N'Keal Harry is an absolute bust and a shell of himself. All right? He's terrible. Does not warrant a first-round pick. We missed out there. Big time. Right? Jules isn't looking the same. Whatever. Whatever you want to say about the receiving core, whatever. It starts at the quarterback position. Cam is not good right now. He's not. He's awful. He is the bottom tier of quarterbacks right now.
Do you think he's good in the Seattle game?
So
or do you give the
I think I think the Seattle game's a fluke because every quarterback's performed well against Seattle this year. Every quarterback, in a sense, right? Because so looking at the body of work throughout the course of the season, and especially these past 3 games, I mean, I think we're seeing what Cam truly is. And I look at it and I say, wow, this past offseason, when you include free agents that were quarterbacks, so quarterbacks that were available on the market with what you could have gotten in the draft, it was really deep.
Yeah.
You have Teddy Bridgewater that got signed, who's doing phenomenal over there in Carolina right now, like performing really, really well. I feel like if we got Teddy Bridgewater for $20 million a year, like Carolina's paying him, I think we're 4-2 right now, or 3-3 at least. You know, there's Bridgewater there.
Tough take.
I get that. I mean, Phillip Rivers is better than Cam right now.
I just feel like we're not playing Cam to his potential, right? You have one of the top. You know, Cam's game's play action pass. We're not doing.
We have going over the game tape, especially from San Francisco and Denver. We have granted our receiving core being bad, they're open. There are multiple plays where they are open, and our offense, especially with McDaniels, is predicated a lot on timing routes, on being in a certain spot. And with Cam, there's a lot of indecisive. He's very indecisive, holds on to the ball far too long, which is why he's getting sacked so much. Our O-line's been pretty decent lately, in my opinion. They look pretty. They've been looking all right. They've been standing up pretty well.
They looked great against Seattle.
But I mean, there's so much. There are guys that are open in these windows, and Cam's just not throwing the ball. You know, there's something going on mentally in Cam's game. It starts there. It starts with Cam. Cam has to be better.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it.
Without a doubt, Cam has to be better.
And for all of you so-called Pats fans who are calling for Stidham to come in, you know Stidham's numbers in the NFL? 13 for 27, 4 interceptions. 2 of those picks are pick sixes, okay? You're not better off with Stidham.
Yeah.
Stidham's not ready. He's not ready, or he's not that good. He is not your answer here. I was hoping Cam should have been taken out of the game against San Francisco a lot sooner than he did, first off. Second off, that was easily his worst game, probably the worst game of his career that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That was awful. His accuracy was off, throwing balls into the dirt.
It was terrible.
Cam Newton is the first person you blame here.
The first pick, he was like 7 yards off.
Yep.
Pass.
It was one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It starts there. It starts with Cam. It does.
Absolutely.
He's been absolutely 100% terrible.
Yeah.
And there are 28 to 30 quarterbacks in this league that are better than Cam Newton right now.
Yeah.
There are.
I know, yeah.
Statistically speaking, the analytics.
Yeah, the analytics.
All right. Statistically speaking, he has 2 touchdowns to 7 interceptions.
Yeah.
Okay? Throwing. And 2 rushing touchdowns. So 4 touchdowns, 7 picks. Our quarterback unit as a group has 3 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. The fact that we're 2-4 right now with that quarterback play is just baffling to me. It starts there.
I know, and it kills me too because you almost beat KC if you had proper personnel in. I don't know. I feel like you look at the Seattle game.
Honestly, I'm like at this point, I'm just like, hey, you know what? Put Brian Hoyer in for the drive, and then once they get to the red zone, put Cam in. That's the point I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Because Hoyer just chokes everything away in the red zone. So just take him out of the game once you get like to the 40 or the 30, put Cam in.
Yeah. It's just tough because like you look at the Seattle game and we did a good amount of play action and that was Cam's bread and butter. It's like play action. That offense seemed like it fit him well, but
He's not like a pocket passer,
yeah.
right? You got to move the pocket, get him on the run, rolling out to the left, rolling out to the right. I don't know what they're.
I feel like we have the Brady system and the Brady scheme.
Why can't we go
Cam
back
Newton
to what we did against Miami?
Yeah.
Sure, he's going to be running 15 times a game, and he might not make it to the end of the season. But, I mean, with the way things are going right now, he's not going to make it to the end of the season either. So, like, you need to, especially against Buffalo, I think we match up real well against Buffalo on Sunday. I really do. Buffalo can't stop the run. We can't stop the run either. And I'll get to it after the break, but the defense is just as much to blame as Cam is at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but I think we match up really well with Buffalo. This is our season here. This Buffalo game is our season because you got the Jets afterwards, and you can get to 4-4. If you can get to 4-4, you still kind of have hope. But you can't. If you're gonna, you need to make a decision. Are you gonna sell off for this season? Trade Gilmore. Mm-hmm. He's putting his house on the market. You know, I heard that today. Mm-hmm. So you trade Gilmore, get some assets back, get a couple draft picks, whatever, or are you going to actually go out and try and make a move for an offensive weapon here?
I think this is the time
you have to, right?
This is the time you make a move. There's so much talent that is like, you got Cole in Jacksonville. You got
Chark.
Right?
What about DJ Chark?
You got DJ Chark.
Chark hasn't been performing
Jones,
this well, but I mean,
Galladay. You got Fuller out of Houston, who's now supposedly on the trade block.
Yep.
And we'll get more into trade deadline after the break, but I mean there's a ton of receivers who are in their last year of their contract who teams just can't come to an agreement with. Galladay's one of them. Him and Detroit have not agreed on a contract. They've been back and forth. I don't know if he wants to play there. It's just Stafford's great. He's a good mid-tier quarterback, always has been. Yep. The problem is it's just without Megatron, you're never gonna. Even with Megatron, it's just a team that just doesn't win until they break the cycle. Yep. Maybe it's another Arizona scenario, but until they break the cycle, it's just a dud there. And I would have loved to have Stafford here.
Yeah.
By the way, just saying that's who I wanted to come here. But yeah, I mean, just teams like you got guys that want to ring. Maybe Galladay wants to play with Newen or whatever the case may be. But you got to get out there in the market, man. There's so many guys that are 1 year left who aren't agreeing on contracts, who are going to hit the free agent market, and you don't want to be in a bidding war, right? Get them in, turn the ship around, convince them to hang around for a decent contract, and right the ship.
Yep.
You got talent to trade away that, you got Gilmore you can arguably trade. Or you got, some draft picks that we could trade. We don't draft well anyway. We got a young defense. If we don't win the bowl this year, we don't have to worry about big payouts yet until you have that big stellar year where you worry about guys leaving.
Yep.
We don't have, Jackson and Jones are kind of stepping up, but they're nowhere near where we're not going to be able to afford to re-sign them.
Right.
Defensively and even mostly offensively.
Your secondary is good. Your secondary is the only
bright
spot
part,
of this team.
Your entire defense right now, you don't have to worry about contracts. Get rid of some of the heavy-paying guys.
There was a guy at work that brought up a good point. We're kind of over, but that brought up a good point. But there's
roll too.
We'll roll through it. But there's no one on the Patriots offense. There's no good player on the Patriots offense right now that you can build around.
Yeah,
there's nobody. You can't build Harry's not a good player. Jules is too old now.
And I'll tell you right now.
You can't build – there's not one solidified good player in that offense that you can build around right now. Cam Newton's a shell of himself.
Sorry, Michelle's up and down. Now he's out with another injury. There's a lot to where, like you said, you really don't have anyone to build around. Jules, you maybe go with him and you think maybe he's going to be the guy, but he's not performing. How long does he takes a beating? Everyone knows that. At what point does he say either I'm going to go play – maybe in Tampa, right? And I'm not because obviously there's always a potential.
Well, he's not going to go to Tampa now.
Yeah, they got way too many weapons. But
Brown there.
Well, I mean, you don't get Godwin. Maybe you pull someone down there, but so no. But I mean, they got so many weapons, and maybe Brown sucks next year. Instead of giving him a 1-year deal again next year, they give Edelman a 1-year deal, and then he retires. Right, gets a championship with Brady or whatever. If clearly he's not happy here, he's not performing the way he should. He's getting older. He gets banged up. He's always been fighting injuries every season.
Edelman cannot be your number one guy on this offense.
He can't be.
He can't. And Harry obviously hasn't done anything either.
Harry pisses me off, man. And every week I'm complaining about it, for lack of a vulgar term, but I'm always
oh God.
I'm always complaining every week because the DK Metcalf,
so many better options.
The DK Metcalf thing, for the entirety of his career, I will never live that down. Because I was like, for sure he's coming to New England, man. And I remember, like I said before, and I was like, me and my dad were texting back and forth because I was watching the draft. He was watching the draft. I'm like, he's like, I don't know if he's gonna last. I'm like, 7 picks, and it came up and we didn't pick, and I'm like, dude. And then Seattle picked him like 4 picks later.
You have so many guys after Harry that are just outperforming him.
Yeah, and you could have got him at such a bargain.
I'll tell you right
Seattle got him at such a bargain.
There's so many ways to look at this. Harry comes from Arizona State, Pac-12 team. Pac-12 doesn't have any defenses. The Big 12 doesn't have any defenses either. You need to have some sort of skepticism, or this is where where the analytics kind of get thrown out the window. Mm-hmm. He doesn't play against good defenses in that conference, in the Pac-12 conference. Arizona State also hasn't had a very formidable schedule either. They're not a top-tier football program. I know Herm Edwards is coaching the team now, but I mean, they're not a top-tier program. So N'Keal Harry, as much as you want to put into his physical gifts, being 6'4" and like 210, 215, right? He plays in a weak conference with weak defenses. The Big 12 is the same way, all right? The weak conference, not necessarily weak conference, but weak defenses, weak secondaries. You have a couple guys here and there from those conferences who have flourished in the NFL, like Des Bryant, who came from Oklahoma State, CeeDee Lamb now in Dallas. Like, you have those, select few number of guys.
Yeah.
But your standout wide receivers come from the SEC and the ACC, right? You're seeing it this year with T. Higgins in Cincinnati. He's meshing he's a Clemson guy, meshing really, really well with Burrow, right? Those guys are going to be a formidable pair for the next, 5-10 years, right? So you have those two guys. You've got DeAndre Hopkins, who came from Clemson. You have who other... Name every single Alabama receiver, right?
Yep.
Julio, Judy, Henry Ruggs. God, there's so many more. Calvin Ridley, who's your highest fantasy wide receiver right now. Every good wide receiver, especially the past 5-10 years, have come from the ACC and the SEC. Mm-hmm. And even, DK Metcalf is another example of that. He came from Ole Miss.
Most stud players in general. I mean, Henry came from Bama.
Yep.
Didn't Amari Cooper come from Bama?
Amari Cooper. That's another one. Yep. That's a guy I forgot too. Yep. Amari Cooper came from Alabama too.
All the studs. Big schools.
All of your studs come from the SEC and the ACC. In those skilled positions, especially wide receiver. And that's where they come from.
And it's funny, too, that you kind of bring that up. And I actually meant to say this earlier, and part of the problem I really think New England's having is N'Keal Harry. Because from what I've noticed is defensively he doesn't pull enough coverage, right? He's not pulling your top tier defender.
Mm-hmm.
He's not pulling the main corner. He's not getting a spy. They're not worried about him to the point where it is causing a lot of issue.
Yep.
So you have, below average corner covering them, and then you're putting a top tier corner covering like Jules,
yep,
or covering anybody on the slot. You have a spy now covering a slot.
Right.
There's a lot of issue there, and that's a lot of Jules' drops have been the spy shying down and hitting him before he finishes the grab, so he's getting hit by two guys. And he drops it. And that is the issue we're running into. And I think we'll get these breaks out of the way so we don't minus a break. But coming back in, we'll touch a little more on that and we'll keep rolling. But yeah, I mean, that's a big issy. But
we're going to keep rolling with the Pats Talk NFL. Give us a call, guys. We still have an open line, 508-222-1320. We'll hit you right back on the other side. And we back, ladies and gents. MVP, Sports Talk Radio, Wednesday night. We're missing Tim, and we're missing Drew again for the second week. I miss those guys. I wish Tim could be here, man. I really do.
Yeah.
I really, really do. Last week was a good one. Good little back and forth.
I love it.
Good little, good little banter, and it's all out of respect, and it was fun, and after last week, I've been trying to find a link to bring up the Titans Steelers game in the first half, because the first half stats is where it really kind of lays on or tells me like how that game went, right?
Yeah.
The Steelers. So my reasoning for why Tannenbaum is not in the top 10 is because of that. Is primarily because of that first half, right? That first half, Steelers were committed to neutralizing Derrick Henry, right? When you neutralize Derrick Henry and you force Tannehill to beat you through force him to beat you through the air. That's where you have a recipe for success.
Yep.
And it was 24-7 at halftime. And that's exactly what my point is on my Tannenbaum take. He cannot step up when Derrick Henry is neutralized. He can't. That's my biggest point, and that's why I think he's, middle-of-the-road quarterback, and he's overrated. Because a lot of people think he's like a top-tier quarterback.
I still put him top 10 this year. This year. Not all time.
Well, no.
In general.
Not talking all the time.
In
the league right now.
Right now, I put him top 10.
Well, right now, I'd rather have him than Cam.
Last
all right,
season, not
let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
All right, but he that's the recipe. That's why I think he's overrated. When you're a top 10 quarterback in this league, you can put the team on your back and win a game if you have to. And I don't see that from Tannehill. I don't. Because I know what he had. Here we go. Where's the stats? Where are your stats? Come on. Because Derrick Henry ended up with. Let me pull this up. Derrick Henry ended up with what? 75 yards rushing, I think. Let's see here. Nope, that's not it. Let's go back here. I think he ended up with like 20 rushes for like 75 yards. Where are you? Go NFL, week 7. Steelers Titans, box score. Yep, 20 carries, 75 yards. Yep, 1 touchdown. He had, I think, 13 yards rushing in the first half. Derrick Henry did.
Yeah.
So, and you could see if you watch the game and watch the tape, you could see once Derrick Henry got going, Tannehill got going, right? Because then they were able to bring back their play action. I also think that second half, Roethlisberger gave him a lot of favors. He threw all 3 of his he threw 2 picks in that second half, and the Steelers' offense gave the Titans every opportunity to crawl back into the game, right? That was my big thing. Tannehill's stat line looks good at the end of the day, but especially on that final drive, that turned a 35-yard field goal, pretty much, into a 48-yard field goal to end the game. That's big in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you're a top 10 quarterback in this league, you don't make that mistake on the final drive of a game.
Kind of reflects
you don't.
the Brian Hoyer scenario.
Yep.
Where it's like just
to a degree
stupid mistakes.
There's no excuse for intent. That's a huge mental mistake on Tannenbaum.
Yeah.
Huge. And that's why he will be outside of my top 10. Until he proves me otherwise.
Yeah. I don't know. Sorry, this lady distracted me because she's like staring into my soul.
Nice. I feel like we get that a lot.
Yeah, we do get a lot. I feel like people are so
18
surprised.
of 30. Okay, decent. 220.
I feel like people are surprised to see a radio station here.
Yep. I'll give Tannenbaum credit on one throw that he threw onto the right sideline to A.J. Brown on the sideline. That was a good pass. Made a nice little tight window pass between the corner and the linebacker. That was an all right pass.
So the problem with
that's the one good pass I saw him make all game.
The problem with like Tannehill is like where I'm like, he's not like a top tier guy, but the problem is he fits well. So like there aren't a lot of people that
He's a system quarterback.
there's not a lot of
is what
people
you're
that
saying.
fit well there, right? Kind of like New England or like Brady and stuff. Now you can implement the system elsewhere, like Brady's done, right? He told them who I want, and they went out and got him. I want Gronk. I want Antonio Brown, and they went out and got him, right? You have a head coach who bashes Antonio Brown and says, "I don't want him here," and they go out and get him. Why?
Yep.
Because Brady said so. He's a GM down there.
Yep.
He is their GM. I want a running back. All right, we'll go get Fournette.
How quickly did Brady take over the GM for the
As
Bucs
soon as he
role,
started
too?
proving himself, because what's that, week 1 and 2? Or even
You
before
already,
week
you
1?
know for a fact Brady was the one that got Antonio Brown to Tampa.
100%.
There's no
The
doubt. You can't deny that.
What's his name? Head coach.
Arians.
Yeah. Dude, what is it? Was it week 1 or just before where he was like, "Oh, we will not have Antonio Brown here," and da-da-da. And then he's here.
He's Chris Chandler. Good point, John. He's Chris Chandler. Tannenbaum, Chris Chandler.
Yeah, I like that point. I like that point.
That's a good comparison. He's
Yeah.
a game manager.
Yeah.
That's what he is.
Yeah.
He's
performs well.
an average quarterback.
Performs well where he needs to. And I think he reflects top 10 because that team reflects top 3, top 4.
Mm-hmm.
So he reflects top 10 because when the team does well, he does well. When the team does bad,
he's a
he
Chris
does bad.
Chandler. He's a Trent Dilfer,
I still think the
like
Titans,
a Brad Johnson.
on paper, the Titans should have won that game. Honestly, props to the Steelers, man.
That defense.
Clayton looks good this year. It's a real good team, man. Defensively, offensively.
Roethlisberger really
It's
kind of
crazy,
shot
man,
themselves
because
in the foot, but
Big Ben, man. It's like every year they're competitive, and then he like blows himself out and just
with some injury and
some
they're done.
injury done.
So this is where I kind of compare the Patriots, right? So last season, the Steelers were not in the playoff race at the trade deadline, right? Ben was down, he was hurt at that point, and they were playing with backups. The Steelers make a move last season before the deadline for Minkah Fitzpatrick,
Yep.
and it changes their identity on defense complete tenfold.
Yeah.
And they end up going 8-8, I think, or 9-7. They literally
yeah,
turned around their
9-7.
season and almost made the playoffs last year. Mm-hmm. That's where I see the Patriots this year, in the similar type of situation. If they can make one of these moves for a good player that can kind of change the identity of their offense or defense, probably more so offensively than defensively. Yeah. I know defensively our front seven is just as bad as Cam's performing right now. Like, let's not let the defense off the hook here. We can't stop the run to save our lives. Chase Winovich is another guy that I wanted to bring up. He's played 33 snaps in the past 2 games.
Yeah.
So there's something going on there too.
Yeah, he was.
Where
I
he
saw
hasn't.
a clip of him getting yelled at by Bill on the
On the
sideline.
penalty. Yeah, on the roughing the passer
There was
penalty.
that one, but there was another
You
one
just
too.
you don't when Bill is talking to you, you don't talk, you listen.
Yeah.
Right? He's gained that respect in that regard. You don't debate that, right? And I think that really is what hurdled him in that game and why he didn't play so much.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know what's going on with Chase. Like, he was so good in the first 3 or 4 games of the season, playing a majority of the snaps, and
You know
now
what, though, is if you look at the timeline, right? He looked great last year. We're competitive last year. He looked great in Miami. We win in Miami. He looks great against Seattle. We almost win in Seattle. It's a good game. Defense is great against KC. Offensively, we don't show up. But then you go ahead and you look at the last 2 weeks, and I think it's to be expected, right? And this happens with every team. You can't, and yeah, it's Belichick's team and all, but you can't expect a defense to show up and ball out when the offense can't put points on the board. Mm-hmm. Right? You got a 12-point game. You didn't even score 90% of your points till the fourth quarter against the Broncos.
right.
Then you go up against San Fran and a dude who used to be on your team.
I didn't.
You go up against
I
Jimmy
didn't
G.
think. I didn't ever think we could play as bad as we did against Denver
Yeah,
until San Fran.
yeah.
Defensively,
6 points.
they ran all over you.
Mm-hmm.
You have a 4th-string running back in Jeff Wilson Jr. who's literally trucking you.
Yep.
The effort that I saw and the competitiveness that I saw from that defense on Sunday was abysmal.
I think just locker
it
room
was
mentality's
so
down
bad.
until you need a spark.
I don't think I feel like it goes back to Cam. I feel like they don't believe in Cam, and Cam
I
can
don't
get
know.
it done.
I don't think it's really that. I just think that, again, there's no spark, right? So when you know offense isn't going to perform, why do you want to perform defensively? Why do I want to jeopardize my career, right? So if Winovich blows his ACL out, misses the rest of the season, potentially some of the next season, or doesn't recover, he's a smaller build, right? OBJ, they're talking about, he's already had leg issues, and now he's got a major reconstructive surgery where they're worried about him potentially missing 4 weeks out of next year. They're talking about
For who?
for OBJ.
Oh, yeah.
So they're talking he'll be lucky to start in training camp next year. Lucky. They're saying if things are as slow and complicated as they are, you're talking 4 to 6 weeks of the 2021-2022 season.
Yep.
That's a big deal, right? So you look at
Huge
that.
deal.
You look at that to a guy like Winovich, where it's like, why am I going to get? And the same thing with Edelman. Why are we going to get hurt for a team that is not performing?
Yep.
You just, Edelman's really your bread and butter. Him and Burkhead were your bread and butter for the Seahawks game.
Yep.
And neither of them are doing anything. Burkhead's irrelevant almost again.
Yep.
Edelman isn't doing jack. So clearly there's a lack of morality, and there's something locker room wise where they're not getting there.
This is where
I think this is where you bring in a dude like Kenny Golladay. You bring him in.
Bring in a top
hype
option.
up the offense, right? Get people excited. Okay. Worst case, I think you bench Harry, but worst case, you move him down to like 3 or 4.
So it's Wednesday. Trade deadline is next Tuesday.
Your problem is you're going to have to play the Bills with no receiver. But if you
Is Harry out?
it's questionable
Sunday?
right now. Questionable.
So who do we have?
I think realistically you sit Harry.
Yeah.
And
I
then
like
you shake up your offense. I think you
I'll tell you, there was one player that I saw on Sunday that was competing his butt off. He's not the highest skilled player in the world, and he's not that great, but Jacoby Myers
he's
was
a fighter.
competing his tail off on Sunday.
fights.
He was fighting. I want
fights.
those kind of guys. Like you may not have the greatest physical skill or anything in the world, but if you compete like that, I want you to play.
Here's the thing too, and New England's done it in the past. You can run Myers on a deep route, whether he can catch him or not. New England has always done that. Look at in the past guys that we've had on deep routes. It's just what we've always done, and you just need a guy that's capable, right? So if defense doesn't think N'Keal Harry is capable, they don't worry. If they don't think Ryan Izzo's capable, they don't worry. So you shut down Myers and you shut down Edelman and you beat the Pats because Izzo might catch it. He's probably going to drop it. He's probably going to miss it. Or we're going to make him fumble.
Yeah.
He's irrelevant, right? And N'Keal Harry, we just got to shy him, and, we'll probably beat him. And you can tell because, the Denver game where it was a pass to Harry on the 4th down and he, trips, right? Mm-hmm. The coverage was not there.
No, it wasn't.
They had zero worry about Harry catching that ball.
Yeah.
They did not worry that Harry was going to be the one. That is like when Tim and I coach basketball a lot, right? What we do is, we figure out who do you want, and it's the same with every sport, and every coach does
John, we don't have to be reminded that we could have had DK instead of Harry. We bring it up almost every show now.
I bring it up. Every week in our.
We bring it up every week
in the group chat with myself, Tim, and Drew. I bring it up every week.
Yep.
Every time first off, I have him on one of my fantasy teams, him and Wilson. Every week I bring it up because I thought we had him when he slipped into the second, and it was like our pick. I was like, we got him. Thank God. This is the best thing ever. Brady's going to be so thrilled. And crap, tanks it.
It was, it's not
Imagine
good.
Brady throwing at him. Brady might not leave if he's got a guy like DK.
You're probably right. Probably right.
The problem is the problem is Bill's ego is too big to where he didn't want to go, I'm not going to get weapons because Brady asked. Mm-hmm. That was the mentality. Whereas Tampa Bay is like, yes, Brady, we'll do whatever you want. And it's working out in their favor.
They're ready to win now.
It's working out in their favor.
Not to mention they set themselves up. So they bring in Brady for 2 years.
Not to cut you off. The Green Bay win sold me on that team.
Really?
The Green Bay, I was skeptical. And
I don't think Green Bay's defense is not good.
But
they're
Tampa
not good,
Bay's defense
to say the
showed up.
least.
You hold Green Bay to 10.
Vegas's defense too, also not good. But
you hold the undefeated team to 10.
You hold Green Bay to 10 points.
Undefeated team
Yeah.
with
The Bucks are starting to get into the meat of their
with
schedule
some of the
now.
best players in the league on
But
Green Bay.
honestly, like with how it's going right now, Bucks are arguably the best team in the NFC. Arguably, they're certainly up there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you put them up, so the only other team that I would think you'd put in consideration for the best team in the NFC is Seattle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you put them up head to head. I think the Bucks have a better offense in terms of talent, in terms of weapons.
Defensively,
You put Russell Wilson over Brady, obviously, but I think you match up Lockett to like Godwin. I'm taking Godwin. You match up DK to Evans or something like that. That's kind of a wash. I'd take DK.
Fournette runs over that defense.
You have Fournette, who's kind of he kind of proved himself in that Vegas game too. Mm-hmm. Offensively, you give that to the Bucks, and defensively, you certainly give it to the Bucks too. Like in terms of how they match up.
Yeah.
Arguably, the Bucks are probably your favorites right now, easily.
Yeah.
Brady's winning right now.
He's winning.
Brady's winning.
And everyone laughed week 1 when he lost.
Yep. Belichick right now is going to have to. This season is going to have to be the greatest coaching season he'll ever have.
And I think
with the amount of talent and the amount of talent that he has, that he was given, I feel like we have the coaching that can kind of propel us a little bit and keep us going.
Yeah, we just got to.
It starts with Buffalo.
Get weapons, man. You got to get weapons, right? Even if you lose this game, right, you still have potential. I mean, a 10-5 team is a good team, right? If you lose to the Bills this week and you get a weapon, and you have the Jets twice, you have the Bills again, you still have a chance at 10-5. No problem. Mm-hmm. Think about some of the other.
Not to mention the tight end position.
Think about some of the other teams, like other divisions. Look at the AFC. Look at most of the teams in the East. But I mean, most of these divisions, even where Dallas is leading with 2 wins. There's so many crap teams this year that the wild card matchups are going to be abysmal. It'll be
bad.
New England against Washington type thing. It's going to be bad matchups because there's so many teams leading divisions that are just crap.
Yep.
And there's so many crap divisions where all 4 teams suck. Even the AFC East, I mean, New England, you got the Jets, East, Miami, and New England.
I don't know. I honestly feel
Miami's all right.
Buffalo's coming down to earth, and they're doing Buffalo things. They're starting to show who they really are. And I still, in this game, which is why we match up so well, I think we can coach ourselves to win against Buffalo.
They got a few big matchups coming.
I'm picking the Pats against Buffalo. I am. Your season's on the line in this game. If we lose this game, I'd say watch the season.
I think you can right the ship at 10-5. I think you need to
at 2-5.
At 10-5.
Oh, at 10-5. Well,
you win out. Even 9-6. Even 9-6. I mean, you think Tampa Bay got in last year.
You still have to see Baltimore.
What? Oh no, sorry, 11-5. So.
You still have to play Baltimore. You still have to play the Rams.
Yeah, so 11,
you still have to play the Cardinals.
All right, so 10-6.
You still have to play Kansas City. Or no,
you don't
not
have to
Kansas
play Kansas
City.
And I don't think
you still have a pretty good.
I don't think you play the Cardinals, do you? You got Jets twice.
You do play the Cardinals.
Jets twice, Bills twice, Miami once, Baltimore.
You have Buffalo and the Jets. Then you have Baltimore. So you have Baltimore, you have Houston, and then you have Arizona. You have the Cardinals. You have the Cardinals, Chargers, Rams, Dolphins.
Oh, so we're not playing the Jets twice this year?
No, the Jets are the very last game of the season.
So we are playing them twice.
Yeah. So we got Buffalo and then the Jets in the next 2 weeks.
A lot
you
of
don't play the Jets
games.
till the last season.
A lot of those
the last
game. Games.
But I mean, you've got Baltimore after the Jets, Arizona. I don't even like us. I mean, with the way we're playing right now, man, I don't even like us against the Jets. I really don't. With these past 2 games, and with how Buffalo looked against the Jets, they almost lost to the Jets last week.
You have a perfect scenario right now. You need to humbly lose against the Bills. You try. I mean, you give them your best.
I don't want to lose.
You don't want to, right? But you go in, worst case, we lose this week, we get a threat. And then you go into the Jets with a threat, and you just demolish the Jets. Locker room mentality's up.
3-5.
Get people kind of hyped, right? You have a great win against the Jets. You're 3-5.
Any win
you know,
against the
your
Jets
stud
is not a
you just
great
picked up
win,
got
but
150 yards. Or Galladay got 150 yards, whatever. And now you go into Baltimore, you get a close win, or even you lose close, but it was a good fight, and you feel good about the season. That's what it's got to be. Having the Jets come into whoever you get at the trade deadline is a good thing. I think
if we make a move.
If you make
if
a
we
move.
even make a move.
If you don't make a move, then just start pulling people and tank, because I don't say that like from a disgust standpoint. Like, I've been blessed to see 6 Super Bowls, but from the standpoint
we've been very blessed for the past 20 years.
Yeah, but the standpoint of it's kind, you got to be.
I realize
humble.
that we're not a Super Bowl contender. I realize that. Like, I'm coming to grips with that as a fan. The only thing as a fan that I want to see is us compete. I don't want to see us tank. I want to see us like go in, not like against Denver, not like against San Francisco, where we're just shells of ourselves and don't even try.
You got so much talent.
I want us to compete.
You got so much talent on the draft, though.
We have our coaching is too good, our personnel is too good, and I mean we may not have the most talented roster in the world, but we have a roster where they can compete.
Yeah, but the problem is, man, is you've seen so many people come out and be studs right out of the college, right out of the draft.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You've seen so many first round kids start. And it didn't happen back in the day. It didn't happen up until like 3 years ago, right?
Right.
You see like Jerry Jeudy and Noah Fant and just all these guys, DK Metcalf, and all these dudes step up, perform, right? So that is where New England needs to be. It's either you get somebody or you don't get somebody. You tank. You get a good first round pick. You know, top 10 pick for the first time in however 20 years. And you make use of it.
Here's the biggest question for me.
Because New England fights with 32nd or, the bottom barrel first round pick every year.
Things keep going the way they're going, right?
Yeah.
What's our plan for quarterback? What's the plan for the quarterback position?
Well, I mean,
right now it's not Cam.
I think if
Cam keeps
if
performing,
Bill has the faith in Cam that he does, and they have a trash season, then you get Cam at great money. Even if you run another year.
I don't want him. If he keeps doing what he's doing, I don't want him, and I think his career's over.
Probably is.
If he keeps performing,
but I mean, if you're in a rebuild phase,
granted, I love everything he's talking about. I do. I love how he's taking ownership and he's putting the blame on him. But
I think what he needs to do, and I hate to
actions speak louder than words.
I hate to kind of agree with other people. I think you need to come in just regularly dressed. Right?
Yeah,
and say, you know what? Different mentality this week.
That's what you got to do.
Different mentality this week.
Yeah,
I'm not playing like myself. I'm not going to act like myself. When I start playing like Cam Newton, I'll start dressing like Cam Newton. That's the mentality you have.
So you have, I think that this draft.
Get out of your own head. Stop coming in with all these outfits, trying to have his spiel. Humble up. He's been humble, but humble up more.
Mm-hmm.
Come in normally dressed. Everyone's going to ask about him and be like, yeah, I haven't been playing like Cam Newton, so I'm not going to dress like Cam Newton. When I play like Cam Newton, then I'll come back dressed like Cam Newton. When I go out and I beat Buffalo, I'm going to come in next week in a sick outfit.
This has to be a win.
Like,
this game has to be a win.
Yeah. When I come out and I perform, that's when I'll come out dressed up. That's the mentality you got to have.
Looking far ahead. I'm
But
not
I'll
all out
I'll
yet.
be pissed if Belichick does nothing at the trade deadline. I will be
I can see
pissed.
it happening. I can see it happening.
There's so many opportunities.
I think the odds of nothing happening is higher than the odds
You have
of things
7
happening.
top 20 wide receivers who are all in contract dispute, I guess you could call it, who are all likely to go somewhere. You got Green Bay going after Fuller, who's been great in Houston with a crap Houston coaching staff and a crap team. You got Fuller, who's been great. You got Galladay, who wants out. There's rumors of Marvin Jones.
Yep, that's my point.
You know Gilmore's not staying. Trade him, get somebody.
He's got this year and next year left on his contract, and he's only due like $7-8 million next year.
And they're not going to give him more money because they don't have the money next year. Get rid of him. Free up the money. His house is on the market.
30.
Let him go.
He's 31, actually.
Yeah, let him go.
He's 31.
He's going to want a 4 or 5 year deal.
Mississippi State quarterback. So that's where I get to my next point, John. Looking far ahead. If the quarterback situation is what it is for the rest of the year.
So you're talking about
Cam's a shell of
quarterback?
Cam's a shell of himself.
Yep.
Right? Why not bring in or trade for and bring in like a Matt Stafford, for instance, or Matt Ryan, for example. I would love to bring Matt Ryan here. I think Matt Ryan would kind of flourish in this offense.
You don't have enough. You don't have enough.
You bring Matt Ryan in, right? Because I think his contract's up at the end of the year. So he's looking for another contract. Bring Matt Ryan in at the end of the year. You draft a quarterback in like the second round, third round. Let him develop under Matt Ryan. That's your plan at quarterback.
Develop under what? If you don't have a receiver, you don't have anything.
Well, I mean, that's where you get into it.
How do you train someone how to throw a ball when you don't have anybody?
I mean, for free agent wide receivers
The problem with New England is they have to act now because they don't have talent. Who do you trade away? All right? If you get into trouble with paying Gilmore.
I'm talking off season. I'm talking during the off season.
Yeah, no, but you don't have anybody. You have Gilmore. You got a bunch of guys who opted out who can't get traded. It's a mess. You don't have enough. You really don't. You don't have enough to trade around. Come in
or do you go out?
Because once you
sign Dak.
Once you go into
go out and sign Dak.
No, you're not going to pay him what he wants.
No, you're probably not.
And Dallas is going to pay.
Now they are.
Look at him. If Andy Dalton did what I thought he was going to do, then they probably wouldn't have paid Dak.
You're probably right.
But he looked like trash.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's coaching or not, he looked like trash. And then he got murdered.
Yeah, poor John Bostic.
But
John Bostic, man, that was an ugly hit.
Yeah, that ticked me off. But it's just you don't have enough with New England, and that's the problem where we're at. Is you need to act now. Why? Because teams that aren't competing.
I don't think Alex Smith is a right solution,
no,
John.
Definitely not.
Your
problem
terms of
is
that injury, his age.
Here's the problem.
Bring him in.
You can bring in Lamar Jackson. You can bring in Mahomes. You don't have people to throw him to, and you don't have anyone to trade for it. So it doesn't matter who you sign next year or who you trade for a quarterback. You're going to give up the only bargaining chips you got. They have to go in.
I still think with a different quarterback, like you were saying, like a Mahomes or a Jackson, you're still 4-2.
You're in better shape.
5-2.
I don't know about 5-2. You're in better shape. You're probably batting 500.
3-3 at least.
Yeah, I'd say 3-3.
Even 4-2, I would definitely say that.
Like I said, the problem is not having. You just don't have enough for a defense to take your offense serious.
Nope. You got no one to build your team around. You got no really what do opposing teams come in game planning for with the Patriots offense? Keep Cam in the pocket
and shut down Edelman.
He won't beat you when he's standing in the pocket.
Don't worry about Harry.
That's it.
It's like I was saying, but I forgot to finish.
We'll double up Jules, beat him at the line.
Yep.
Press him at the line.
What you do, and I mean, I always coach defense, so whenever I throughout coaching,
okay, John, you're off your rocker, buddy. Gilmore for Smith? No. Oh, buddy,
but
you're off your rocker, John.
Whenever I've coached, I typically I'm defensive coordinator, but whenever I coach, my mentality is you pick your player who's going to beat you. Same as we do in basketball when Tim and I coach. So you pick your player who's going to beat you, right? So if we're going to get beat, it better be N'Keal Harry. That's what I tell my defense, right? If we're going to get beat, it better be N'Keal Harry. Don't worry about him, right? If we lose to N'Keal Harry, I'll take that fall.
Yeah.
But it better be him that we lose to, right? So that's what they're doing as a defense, okay? We better lose to N'Keal Harry, and we better lose to Ryan Izzo. Those are the guys we better lose to. And as a spy, your job is watch N'Keal Harry and watch Ryan Izzo. That's it.
That's it.
And the off chance they catch it, you're going to make them fumble or you're going to minimize their gain on the yards after. And they do. I mean, Izzo, when he does rarely catch it, he's down right there or he fumbles twice. So defensively, I mean, it's not hard to write tape on it. It's not hard to write a game plan on it. Your average Joe, I mean, I could probably literally run a defense against the New England Patriots because it just there's not enough depth. There's not enough guys to where you worry. Right? It's just N'Keal Harry is not a threat, and until Bill realizes that and takes him out of that role of like a key receiver, defenses will run the same scheme, and it's just too predictable.
This is what's frustrating. This goes back to the franchise and the Patriots not being able to address the obvious weaknesses of this team and trying to stand pat with what they have and the Patriot way.
You got to get out of it. Head's too big. That's Bill's problem.
You get these guys off the street, right, that buy into the system, but they're not they're not performing for you.
And
they're not taking advantage of their opportunities, and they're not good.
And I want to toot my own
They're
horn.
not flourishing.
I want to toot my own horn.
They don't address the weaknesses on this team, and that's, as a fan, that's what's most frustrating to see.
What was the one thing I told you guys coming into KC? I said that will be the best defensive game they've played all year.
Yep.
Because who was going to call the plays? Bill Belichick.
Yep.
He was going to call the defense. He told his son, that's the one game I get. All right?
And he's not calling the defenses now, is he?
And now his son's calling the defense.
Again?
And now it looks like trash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They have, because he was mic'd up last week.
Yeah.
And it proved that he was calling the defense. But Bill was calling it for KC. I told you, point blank, he definitely said, I'm getting that one game. That's my game.
Mm-hmm.
The rest, I'll give it to you. See what you got. Right? And
now what do you do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you need to worry about offense. You get the offense going. If defense slouches, then he takes the defense back. But the problem is, you don't have enough offensively. I think you take Harry out of the picture. You do Asiasi. That's your best bet at beating the Bills, is minimizing N'Keal Harry.
Do you have enough coaching and enough matchups to beat Buffalo on Sunday?
Yes and no.
What's your prediction
for score? I mean, I think
What are we
Buffalo.
going
I
with?
think Buffalo wins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think New England's going to do what they need to do. I think you're going to see the same thing you see. You're gonna see minimal coverage on Izzo and Harry. Everyone at home.
If Harry plays,
if he plays, you're going to see it. Now
we need a Miami game.
Yeah, what needs to happen is, like I said, they need to make Izzo irrelevant or make him block, put Asiasi out there. You need unpredictable factors. That is how you make a defense adjust. So when you come out the first half, right, you come out with Asiasi. They're not expecting that. They don't have tape on that. You don't have Harry out there. You have Jacoby Myers over there. You have Edelman over there. You have a different factor over there. They don't have tape on that. They aren't prepared for that. So what do? They're going to come out. They'll run like a cover 2, cover 3. Maybe they'll run a cover 2 with a spy. They're going to come out with a base package defense and say, all right, look, we don't have tape on this, so we're going to run a base package defense, and we'll run this base package defense for a quarter and a half or the first half. Then we'll adjust. Now you're playing New England's game to where Bill Belichick's going to say at half, they're going to adjust. This is how we're going to flip it.
So what's your prediction?
I think
we're at the
Buffalo
end of the show
wins. I think offense steps up a little bit. The matchups are where I want them to be. I think it'll be 31-20.
Wow. Yeah. High scoring?
Yeah. I just think the matchups, the run's going to be big. Josh Allen running out of the pocket's going to be big.
I'm getting ready to hop off the Patriots train for the season in terms of my hopes. I've got one foot out the door.
There's a lot of potential. I'm telling you now.
I think we match up well against Buffalo. We stink against the run, and they stink against the run. I think this is going to be a quick game. I feel like we're going to go back to what we did against Miami.
You're going to see Burkhead a lot. You're going to see Burkhead and White a lot.
Burkhead and Damian Harris.
And White.
I think we're going to see a lot of running. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think Buffalo is going to be a shell of themselves. I think we're going to take Stephon Diggs away. I don't think Josh Allen is. I think Josh Allen is going to continue being the same Josh Allen we've seen the past 2 or 3 weeks.
Look, I don't mind winning. I think
the coaching is what's going to win us this game.
I have bets against New England, but I have no problem losing money to see a win.
I think coaching is what's going to win us this game, and I say we win. I'm going to go with like a weird score here. I'm going to go with 20-16.
It's so weird. I was thinking 20-17.
Or we might.
Well, 16 means you have a safety or a miss.
I would say 20-13. I like that score. 20-13 Pats. I think we kind of are gonna keep our season a little bit alive here. That's my prediction.
I'd like to see it. I'm fine losing the gambling bets that I have on that. Oh, hold on. Sorry, lock of the week.
Lock of the week.
Lock of
Real
the
quick,
week.
give me the lock of the week, Nick.
Let me tell you, if you're not paying attention at home, you better be, because we are 2-0, baby.
We're 2-0 in the past 2 weeks on lock of the weeks for betting.
I have doubled my money.
Go on to your
both weeks in a
sportsbook.
row.
Go on to Rhode Island Sportsbook. Go on to Bovada. Go on to DraftKings. Whatever you use as a betting platform. Go on to it and lock these locks of the week in if you want to make some cash.
So,
What's your lock, buddy?
pulling it up right now. Give me 1 second. We're going to go a little bit over on the time here, but that's okay. So, I don't know the number lines now. I put these in yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So, our lock of the week is, if it'll open,
Drum roll, please.
we have the Tennessee Titans -6 at Cincinnati, which you were skeptical about.
I am skeptical
And
about
so this one could go back on us if Ryan's prediction
that.
holds.
So you're taking the Titans at -6.
and then we have Buffalo Bills at -3.5, which could backfire. if
Those are your
prediction's
locks of the
right.
week.
Those are the locks of the week.
The 2-team parlay
Yep,
at
two-team
spreads.
parlay.
That is your lock of the week, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
That is your lock of the week.
And we have $50 riding on it. Payout is $135.
Nice. There we go, folks. That's
So,
your lock of the week.
We're 2-0. Let's see what happens. Maybe we lose, but I mean, 2-0 is good odds, man. You win one every 3 weeks. I mean,
Yep.
2 every 3 weeks. You're talking. You're
There
up.
you go.
You're up double your money.
Well, unfortunately, we weren't able to have Drew or Tim today. Hopefully next week we get into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
We had to talk World Series for the first hour and get that out of the way, but
Exciting.
hopefully the
Tune in
Patriot
next week.
season isn't over after Sunday. We'll be at Parker's Pub in Rentham if anybody wants to join us.
Yeah, tune in next week,
Yeah,
man. We
buddy.
got trade deadline coming. Tune on
Trade
in
deadline.
next week.
We got Election Day on Tuesday. Get out and vote.
Yeah, get out.
Everyone
vote.
get out and vote. I've already voted. I'm sure you have too.
I have not.
You
I'm going to
haven't.
vote on election day.
You're going to vote on Election Day.
I'm not
Okay.
like a conspiracy theorist, but I like to pull my ballot in the machine.
Yep. I've gone out and I've voted already. I'm good to go. But hey, for MVP Sports Talk Radio, guys, I'm Ryan. We got Nick here too.
That's me.
And we'll see you next week, folks.